In 5 billion years, the sun will swallow the Earth, not with violence, not with rage, but with silence. Earth, blue and fragile, slowly rotating beneath the distant glow of an aging star. There will be no warning sirens, no countdown, no last-minute escape. The oceans will not boil in an instant. Cities will not crumble in a day. Instead, the end will arrive slowly, like the closing of an eye that has watched over us since the very beginning. Time-lapse of the sun rising and setting over Earth, faster and faster, blurring into a river of light. For billions of years, the sun has been our constant companion. It woke the first cells. It illed the first lungs. It painted every sunrise humanity has ever seen, every golden hour, every crimson dusk, every shadow that ever fell across the face of someone you loved. But stars, like all living things, are born with an expiration date written into their core. Close-up of the sun's surface, plasma churning, magnetic fields twisting, flares erupting in slow motion. The sun's heartbeat slows as the universe holds its breath, and one day, inevitable as gravity itself, it will stop. Visual fade to darkness. Silence, only the faint hum of deep space remains. This is not a story of destruction. This is a story of transformation. This is the story of that day. This is the story of how our solar system ends, and how, in its ending, something greater begins. Birth of the sun, every beginning holds its end. Deep space, a vast, dark molecular cloud drifts through the void, silent, ancient, cold. 4.5 billion years ago, there was no sun, no Earth, no light in this corner of the galaxy, only darkness and dust. The cloud, massive beyond comprehension, stretches across light years. Wisps of gas drift in slow, eternal motion. But within that darkness, something stirred. A shockwave from a distant supernova rippled through the cloud, disturbing its stillness. Gravity took hold. Dust and gas began to spiral inward, collapsing under their own weight, falling toward a point of no return. The cloud spins faster, glowing faintly at its core. Heat builds, pressure mounts, light begins to emerge. At the center of this collapsing maelstrom, pressure mounted. Temperatures rose. Hydrogen atoms crushed together so tightly that they could no longer resist. And then, ignition. Visual, a brilliant flash of light. The sun is born. Radiance floods the frame, pushing away the darkness. The sun opened its eyes for the first time, and it has been burning ever since. Young sun, violent and turbulent, surrounded by a disk of gas and debris that will one day become planets. Fusion, the marriage of hydrogen into helium, releases energy beyond comprehension. Every second, the sun converts 4 million tons of matter into pure light. 4 million tons. Vanished. Transformed into the warmth you feel on your skin when you step outside on a summer morning. It is an inferno balanced on a knife's edge, gravity pulling inward, radiation pushing outward. For billions of years, these forces have held each other in perfect equilibrium. Visual, time-lapse of the solar system forming, planets coalescing from the debris disk, Earth emerging in the habitable zone. Around the newborn star, worlds took shape. Rocky Mercury, scorched and barren, cloud-wrapped Venus, choking beneath its own atmosphere, and Earth, a blue gem in the blackness, cradled in the sun's warmth at just the right distance. Earth from space, serene and alive. Oceans shimmer, clouds swirl. Lightning flickers across distant storms. Life emerged in those warm oceans. It spread, it adapted, it climbed onto land. It looked up at the sun and worshipped it, feared it, studied it. For every living thing on Earth, the sun has been the source of everything: energy, light, time itself. Pause. But every beginning already holds its end. The sun, stable and bright. But beneath the surface, deep within the core, a clock is ticking. The sun is not infinite. Fusion cannot last forever. And buried deep within its core, in a furnace 15 million degrees hot, the countdown has already begun. Aging sun, the long goodbye. 6th Taricha 30, 11. Present-day sun, calm and radiant. Earth below, peaceful and familiar. Right now, at this very moment, the sun is middle-aged, stable, predictable, kind, but it is changing. Cutaway view of the sun's interior. The core glowing white-hot, surrounded by layers of roiling plasma. Every second, hydrogen fuses into helium in the core. But helium does not burn, not yet. It accumulates, it sinks, it weighs down the core, and as helium builds up, the core contracts ever so slightly, growing hotter, denser, more efficient. The sun brightens imperceptibly. Earth's oceans reflect more light, glittering under an intensifying star. This makes the sun brighter, about 10% every billion years. It sounds small, negligible, but small changes over deep time become catastrophic. Earth, 1 billion years in the future. The continents are unfamiliar. The oceans are smaller, retreating from the coasts. In 1 billion years, Earth will begin to die. Oceans steaming under a relentless sun. Clouds thickening. The greenhouse effect spiraling out of control. The extra sunlight will trigger a runaway greenhouse effect. Water vapor, once a blanket of warmth, will become a suffocating trap. The oceans will boil into the atmosphere, molecule by molecule, year by year. Rivers will vanish. Lakes will crack into dust. The sky will turn white with steam. Cracked, barren ground stretching to the horizon. Empty riverbeds cutting through red deserts. Life, which once covered every surface, will retreat underground. Into caves, into the deep crust. Clinging to geothermal vents, the last refugees of liquid water. By bioluminescent organisms clinging to stone. Above, the surface is a lifeless furnace. Imagine standing in those final sanctuaries, in the deep places where warmth still flows from the planet's core. Knowing that above you, the world has ended. Knowing that even here, in the last safe place, time is running out. Pause, and eventually, even those sanctuaries will fail. Earth from space, but now it looks like Venus. Thick, pale yellow clouds hiding a dead, baking surface. Earth will become what Venus is now, a scorched husk wrapped in clouds of acid and steam, uninhabitable, unrecognizable. The forests, the cities, the songs, all gone, buried beneath a sky that glows day and night with heat. The sun, noticeably brighter, larger. Its surface churns with new intensity, sunspots blooming and fading. But the sun is not done. This is only the beginning. Inside the sun's core, hydrogen reserves dwindling, helium accumulating in a dense, inert mass. In its core, hydrogen is running out. The fuel that has burned for 5 billion years is nearly spent. And when it is gone, the sun will undergo a transformation unlike anything it has experienced before. It will become a red giant. Red giant phase, the devourer. 5 billion years in the future. The sun has grown immense, filling half the sky as seen from what was once Earth's orbit. The sun is dying, but it is not going quietly. Inside the sun's core, helium sits inert, dense, glowing faintly, surrounded by a thin shell of burning hydrogen. With no hydrogen left in the core, fusion ceases. For a moment, the sun goes dark inside. Gravity takes over. The core collapses. Temperature spikes. And in a desperate bid for survival, the sun ignites a shell of hydrogen around the dead core. The sun swells. Its outer layers balloon outward, expanding like a slow-motion explosion, glowing deep red. This shell burns with furious intensity, pumping energy into the sun's outer layers. They expand, cooling as they stretch, turning from yellow to orange to crimson red. The sun becomes vast, larger than the orbit of Venus, larger than anything it has ever been. Mercury, small and gray, drifting closer to the swelling sun. Its surface begins to glow. Mercury is the first to die. Mercury's surface glowing white-hot, then vaporizing. Chunks of molten rock spiral into the sun's outer atmosphere. Temperatures rise beyond 2,000 degrees. the planet's surface melts like wax. Its iron core liquefies. Gravity tears it apart piece by piece until nothing remains but vapor and memory. Mercury, the closest companion to the Sun for 4 billion years, ceases to exist. Venus, shrouded in clouds, drifting into the red giant's embrace. Venus follows. Visual, Venus's thick atmosphere glows orange, then burns away. The planet cracks, shatters, dissolves into streams of molten debris. Its sulfuric clouds incinerate. Its mountains crumble. The entire planet breaks apart like a sandcastle in a firestorm. Gone. Earth, the last rocky planet, hanging at the edge of the expanding sun. Its surface is already dark, lifeless, ancient. And then comes Earth. Pause. Let the weight of this moment settle. The Sun's outer layers reach Earth's orbit. The planet begins to glow red along its edges. The Earth, long dead and barren, has drifted outward slightly as the Sun lost mass. But it is not enough. The red giant's outer atmosphere, thin as a whisper, vast as an ocean, envelops the planet. Earth glowing red-hot. Its surface blisters and cracks. Magma flows where oceans once rolled. Friction heats the atmosphere. The crust liquefies. Continents melt into rivers of fire. Oceans of molten rock swirl where seas once teemed with life. Earth spiraling inward, consumed by the Sun's outer layers. It disintegrates slowly, majestically, tragically. The planet that once held forests and cities, music and love, philosophy and art, the cradle of consciousness itself, falls into the Sun. Imagine standing on a distant moon, watching that moment. Watching the Earth, your home, your origin, dissolve into light. Knowing that everything humanity ever built, ever dreamed, is now part of the star that gave it life. Silence. The Sun fills the screen, red and mournful. Earth is gone. Only empty space remains. Not with an explosion, but with silence. Pause. The inner solar system is empty now. Only the outer planets remain. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, distant and cold, watching from afar like mourners at a funeral. But the Sun is not finished. Final breath, beauty in death. The red giant Sun, bloated and unstable. Its surface ripples with violent convection, storms the size of planets. The Sun is now in its final act. Inside the core, helium begins to fuse into carbon and oxygen. The star F flares with new, brilliant energy. In the collapsing core, pressure finally becomes great enough to trigger helium fusion. For a brief, glorious moment, the Sun burns again. Brighter, hotter. But helium burns fast. In just a few million years, a heartbeat in cosmic time, it too is exhausted. The Sun flickers, pulses, its outer layers begin to drift away, shimmering like veils. The core contracts one last time. The outer layers, no longer held by fusion, begin to float away into space. Slowly, gently, like breath leaving a body. Like petals falling from a dying flower. Glowing shells of gas expand outward, illuminated by the dying core beneath. Colors emerge, blues, greens, reds, purples. This is the planetary nebula. Wide shot, a vast, luminous cloud spreads across space, glowing with ethereal beauty. At its center, a tiny, brilliant point of light. The Sun's outer layers become a cathedral of light. They spread across light years, illuminated from within by the exposed core, now a white dwarf, no larger than Earth, but burning at 100,000 degrees. Close-up of swirling gas clouds, intricate structures, knots, filaments, and loops. Stunning, haunting, heartbreaking. It is one of the most beautiful sights in the universe. Death transformed into art. Destruction become creation. Wide view of the nebula from a distance. Jupiter and Saturn, frozen and dark, drift silently through the expanding cloud. The outer planets survive. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. They drift outward into the darkness, now orbiting a star that no longer shines. Silent witnesses to the end of an era. The nebula fades slowly over millennia, dispersing into the galaxy. Stars twinkle beyond it. Over thousands of years, the nebula fades. The gas disperses. The sun's final breath joins the interstellar medium, the cosmic ocean from which new stars will one day form. Pause. The sun has returned to the universe what the universe once gave it. White dwarf and reflection, light that lives on, 1830-22. Visual, the white dwarf, a tiny, intensely bright ember floating alone in the darkness of space. All that remains is the core, a white dwarf, a stellar ember, no larger than Earth but containing the mass of the sun. It no longer fuses, it no longer burns, it simply glows, radiating the heat of its former life into the void. The white dwarf slowly dims, from white to yellow to orange to red over billions of years. Over trillions of years, it will cool, from white to yellow, from yellow to red, from red to brown. Eventually, it will fade to black, a cold, dark cinder drifting through an ancient galaxy that has itself grown old and quiet. The dead solar system, frozen planets orbiting a black dwarf, silence, stillness, eternity. And the solar system, once so full of light and life, will be no more. Pause. Silence. Only the ambient hum of deep space remains. Slow zoom out from the dead sun. The Milky Way comes into view. Other stars shine brightly, some young, some old, some dying. But the story does not end here. A distant molecular cloud begins to collapse. Just as the sun's nebula once did billions of years ago. Somewhere in the galaxy, the gas and dust shed by the sun will drift through space for millions of years. It will encounter other clouds, other remnants of other stars, and eventually, drawn together by gravity, it will collapse again. A new star ignites. Planets form around it. One of them is blue, covered in oceans. A new star will be born. New planets will form, and some of those planets will carry within them the atoms that once belonged to the sun. Carbon forged in its core, oxygen breathed by its worlds, iron that flowed through the veins of living things. Children playing under a sunlit sky on an alien world, billions of years in the future. The sun will live again. Not as a star, but as the substance of new worlds, new life. New stories yet to be told. Earth in the present day. The sun rises over the horizon, golden and warm, illuminating mountains and oceans. And so we return to now, to this moment, to this pale blue dot, still warm beneath the sun that gave it life. A single human hand reaching toward the sunlight filtering through trees. We are made of stardust, the poets say. But it is more than poetry. It is physics. It is truth. Every atom in your body was forged in the heart of a star. You are the sun's child. And when the sun dies, its light will not vanish. The sun, radiant and alive. Camera slowly pulls back, Earth rotating peacefully in its glow. It will live on, in us, in the worlds it once warmed, and in the stars yet to be born. Stars fill the screen. The Milky Way stretches across the frame. Galaxies beyond. Silence. Awe. Even when the sun dies, its light will never truly fade. A single star remains in the center of the frame. It pulses gently, like a heartbeat. Because nothing in this universe is ever really lost. It only transforms, fade to black. The star fades last, then silence, then faintly the sound of a heartbeat, or perhaps the pulse of a newborn star. And the cycle begins again.